The war had lasted 18 years. 18 long years of death and fire across 7,000 star systems. The Galactic Coalition, an alliance of 42 alien species, was losing. Everyone knew it. No one wanted to say it out loud. The enemy was called the Vorn Collective. They came from the dark spaces between galaxies, and they wanted only one thing: the death of all other life. They did not negotiate. They did not take prisoners. They simply destroyed everything in their path and moved on to the next target. High Admiral Kethvon stood at the center of the coalition council chamber on the station called Unity Prime. He was an Altherian, a tall being with blue-gray skin, forearms, and compound eyes that could see in multiple spectrums of light. His people were known for their calm logic and careful planning. But today, his four hands were shaking. Around him sat representatives from dozens of species. The massive Karathi, who looked like bears made of stone. The small and quick Yamari, with their feathered bodies and sharp minds. The Telurans, who breathed methane and spoke through vibrations in their crystalline bodies. All of them waited for the Admiral to speak. Kethvon looked at the holographic display floating above the council table. It showed a map of the galaxy. Red zones marked Vorn-controlled territory. Blue zones showed coalition space. 18 years ago, the map had been mostly blue. Now it was almost entirely red. "I will not lie to you," Kethvon said. His translator device turned his clicks and whistles into words that every species could understand. "We have lost the Outer Rim. The Vorn broke through our defensive line at Sector 7 3 days ago. Admiral Tethaner's fleet was destroyed. All 12,000 ships. No survivors." The chamber erupted into noise. Representatives shouted at each other. Some demanded action. Others demanded retreat. A few simply sat in stunned silence. Kethvon raised all four of his hands for quiet. "There is more. Our analysts have calculated the rate of Vorn advance. At current speed, they will reach the Coalition core worlds within 3 cycles. After that," he paused. "After that, there will be no coalition." "What about the reserve fleets?" demanded Grathtalk, the Korathi delegate. His voice was like rocks grinding together. "We have ships in storage. We have soldiers ready to fight." "The reserve fleets are already deployed," Kethvon replied. "They were destroyed at Sector 7 along with everyone else. Then we build more ships. We have no time. No resources. The Vorn have taken our mining worlds. Our shipyards are operating at full capacity, but they cannot replace our losses fast enough." Silence fell over the chamber. It was the silence of beings who had just realized they were going to die. In the back of the room, far from the central table where the major powers sat, a human woman rose from her seat. Her name was Linda Marsh, and she was the ambassador from the United Earth Confederacy. Humanity was a newcomer to galactic politics. They had only discovered faster-than-light travel 50 years ago. They had joined the coalition just 6 years before, contributing medical ships and cargo transports to the war effort. Their territory was small, just a handful of systems on the galaxy's outer edge. Most species barely knew they existed. "The United Earth Confederacy would like to offer assistance," Linda said. Several delegates turned to look at her. Most did not bother. Kethvon's compound eyes focused on the human with what might have been pity. "Ambassador Marsh," he said carefully, "we appreciate the offer, truly, but your people have no war fleet. Your largest ship is a cargo transport. What could you possibly contribute?" "We have a ship," Linda said. "One ship. The Resolute. We would like to deploy it to the front lines." Laughter filled the chamber. The Korathi delegate actually slapped his massive hand against the table, making a sound like thunder. "One ship!" Grathtalk roared. "The Vorn have 10,000 warships, human. 10,000. Your one little ship will be dust in seconds. Linda did not smile. Her face remained completely calm. The Resolute is not a little ship. Then what is it? HFY asked. A battleship? A dreadnought? Even the largest vessel in the Coalition fleet would be helpless against those numbers. The Resolute is something different, Linda said. Something we have been building in secret for a very long time. The laughter died away. Something in the human's voice made the delegates uncomfortable. She was too calm, too certain. Ambassador, said Yenna, the Yamari representative, leaning forward with her feathered head tilted. Are you saying that humanity has hidden capabilities? Technologies you have not shared with the Coalition? Yes. Why? Why would you hide such things when the galaxy is at war? Linda looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of each delegate in turn. Because we were not sure we could trust you. Because we have learned, through long and painful experience, that showing your true strength often invites attack. Because we hoped the Coalition could win this war without our help. She paused. We were wrong. The Coalition cannot win. Not alone. So now we offer what we have. HFY studied the human for a long moment. There was something in her eyes that he had seen before, in the eyes of warriors who had faced death many times and no longer feared it. One ship, he said slowly. You are sending one ship against the largest invasion force in galactic history. Either your people are insane, or you know something we do not. Humans are not insane, Linda replied. We are many things, stubborn, unpredictable, sometimes cruel, sometimes kind, but not insane. She straightened her shoulders. The Resolute will arrive at the Sigma boundary in 48 hours. I suggest you warn your commanders to stay out of its way. And what exactly will this ship do when it arrives? Linda finally allowed herself a small smile. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who knew a terrible secret. It will end the Vorn advance. One way or another. She turned and walked out of the chamber, leaving 42 species staring after her in confusion and growing fear. After she was gone, Grathok spoke into the silence. The humans are bluffing. They must be. No one ship can stop the Vorn. But HFY was not so sure. He thought about everything he knew about humanity. They were a young species, yes, small, seemingly weak. But they had survived alone in a hostile universe for a very long time. And they had joined the Coalition not as beggars seeking protection, but as equals offering partnership. What if they had been hiding their true nature all along? Send a message to the front lines, he ordered. Tell our commanders that a human vessel called the Resolute is on its way. Tell them to watch it carefully. And if the humans fail? Yenna asked. HFY turned back to the map, watching the red zone spread like blood across the galaxy. Then we are all dead anyway. We have nothing left to lose. 48 hours later, the Resolute dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Coalition territory, and the galaxy held its breath. Commander Nathan Cole stood on the bridge of the Resolute with his hands clasped behind his back. He was a tall man with gray hair cut short and eyes that had seen too many battles. He had served in the Earth Confederacy Navy for 32 years. He had commanded ships in conflicts that most humans did not know existed. But this mission was different from anything he had done before. Through the main viewport, he could see the Coalition's defensive lines stretched across space. Thousands of ships from dozens of species formed a wall of metal and energy between the Vorn and the core worlds. They looked impressive. They looked powerful. Nathan knew they would not last a week. Commander, we have dropped out of hyperspace successfully, reported Lieutenant Kevin Brooks from the tactical station. He was a young man with dark skin and quick hands that moved across his console with practiced ease. Coalition fleet is directly ahead. Distance, 400,000 kilometers. Coalition Command is hailing us, added Lieutenant Commander Patricia Hayes from the communication station. She was a woman in her 40s, with red hair tied back in a practical braid. She had been Nathan's executive officer for 8 years. He trusted her completely. "On speaker," Nathan said. The voice that came through was translated from Altherian to English by the ship's computer. "Human vessel Resolute, this is Coalition Command. We have been informed of your arrival. You are assigned to Logistics Group 7 in the rear area. Please proceed to coordinates being transmitted now." Nathan smiled slightly. "Coalition Command, this is Commander Cole. We appreciate the assignment, but we will be proceeding to the front line." There was a pause. "Resolute, the front line is not a safe position for a vessel of your size. The Vorn Vanguard has been detected 6 hours away. We strongly recommend. Thank you for your concern." "Cole out." Nathan nodded to Patricia, who cut the channel. "Take us forward." "Full speed." "Aye, Commander." The Resolute accelerated smoothly, passing Coalition vessels that were many times its size. The ship was only about 1 kilometer long, small by galactic standards. The Korathi dreadnoughts in the defensive line were nearly 20 kilometers from bow to stern. But as the human ship moved through the formation, strange things began to happen. Aboard the Altherian flagship Pride of Altheria, Admiral Kethvan watched the human vessel approach on his tactical display. His sensor officer, a young Altherian named Veshkai, was making sounds of confusion. "Admiral, I cannot get a clear reading on the human ship," Veshkai reported. "Our sensors are returning impossible data." "Impossible how?" "The ship's mass keeps changing. First it reads as a few thousand tons, then it reads as several million tons, then it reads as nothing at all. The power signature is even stranger. I am detecting energy outputs that should not be possible from a vessel that size." Kethvan leaned forward. "What kind of energy?" "I do not know, Admiral. I have never seen anything like it. Our computers cannot even classify it." The Admiral was quiet for a moment. He thought about Ambassador Marsh's words at the council meeting. "Something we have been building in secret for a very long time." He thought about the calm certainty in her eyes. "Open a channel to the human ship," he ordered. Nathan's face appeared on the holographic display. "Admiral Kethvan, good to speak with you." "Commander Cole, my sensors cannot properly analyze your vessel." "Care to explain?" "Not particularly," Nathan replied. "But I will tell you this. Pull your forward elements back to the secondary defensive line. When the Vorn Vanguard arrives, you do not want to be close to us. The Vanguard consists of 600 warships, Commander. Whatever technology you have, you cannot possibly fight those numbers alone. Watch us." The channel closed before Kethvan could respond. He stared at the display for a long moment, then turned to his tactical officer. "Order all forward ships to fall back to the secondary line. Admiral? That will leave the Sigma boundary undefended except for the human ship." "I know. Do it anyway." Across the coalition line, ships began to move. Captains from a dozen species questioned the order, but followed it. The Resolute moved forward alone, positioning itself directly in the path of the incoming Vorn fleet. In the engine room of the Resolute, Chief Engineer Maria Santos ran her hands over the reactor controls. The reactor was not like anything the Coalition had ever built. It did not use fusion or antimatter or any technology that alien scientists would recognize. It used principles that humanity had discovered long ago and kept hidden ever since. Maria was 53 years old. She had helped design this reactor. She knew what it could do, and the knowledge sometimes kept her awake at night. "Power levels stable," she reported through the ship's internal communication system. "All systems ready for combat operations." In the weapons bay, Gunnery Sergeant Paul Whitman loaded targeting solutions into the ship's weapon systems. The weapons were also unlike anything the Coalition possessed. They did not fire plasma or missiles or kinetic projectiles. They fired something else entirely. Paul was a quiet man who rarely spoke. He had been a Marine before transferring to the Navy. He had seen combat on 6 different planets. But he had never fired these weapons at a real target before. He hoped they worked as well as the tests suggested. On the bridge, Nathan watched the countdown on the main display. The Vorn Vanguard would arrive in less than an hour. All stations report ready, Patricia said. The crew is at battle stations. Nathan nodded. Good. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we are engaging. Any specific message, sir? Nathan thought about it. He thought about his wife, Catherine, waiting at home on their small farm in Montana. He thought about his daughter, Susan, who served on a cargo ship somewhere in the outer colonies. He thought about the 800 men and women under his command, all of whom had volunteered for this mission, knowing they might not come back. Tell them, the Resolute stands ready. Humanity keeps its promises. Patricia sent the message. Then they waited. The Vorn Vanguard dropped out of hyperspace exactly on schedule. 600 ships of black metal appeared against the stars like a spreading stain. They were ugly vessels, all angles and sharp edges, designed for one purpose. Destruction. At the center of the formation flew the command ship of Fleet Master Zorath, one of the Vorn Collective's most successful commanders. Zorath had destroyed 32 coalition fleets in his career. He had burned 100 worlds. He felt no fear, no doubt, no mercy. He looked at the single human ship blocking his path and felt something new. Amusement. What is this? He asked his bridge crew. A sacrifice? A distraction? Unknown Fleet Master, his subordinate replied. The vessel is difficult to analyze. Our sensors are returning strange data. One ship against 600. It does not matter what data our sensors return. Destroy it and continue the advance. 200 Vorn destroyers broke formation and moved toward the Resolute. Their plasma batteries began to charge, energy building in their weapon arrays. In seconds, they would fire enough power to vaporize a small moon. On the Resolute's bridge, Kevin Brooks watched the incoming ships. Commander, 200 enemy vessels approaching. They are charging weapons. Nathan did not move. Wait for it, sir. They are about to fire. Wait. The Vorn destroyers fired. 200 ships released their weapons simultaneously, sending a wave of plasma toward the lone human vessel. The energy lit up space like a new sun. Nathan watched the incoming fire calmly. Now, Lieutenant, activate countermeasures. Kevin pressed a button on his console, and everything changed. The plasma fire from 200 Vorn destroyers raced toward the Resolute. It was enough energy to burn through any shield, melt any armor, destroy any ship in the Coalition fleet that it never reached its target. 300 meters from the Resolute's hull, the plasma simply stopped. It hung in space like frozen fire, suspended in a barrier that no one could see. For a moment, the energy just floated there. Beautiful and terrible. Then it reversed direction. The plasma accelerated backward, faster than it had come, moving with impossible precision toward the ships that had fired it. The Vorn gunners had no time to react. They barely had time to understand what was happening. 112 destroyers exploded in the span of 3 seconds. Their hulls shattered. Their reactors detonated. 112 ships became clouds of debris spreading through the void. On the Coalition line, thousands of alien soldiers watched in stunned silence. Admiral Kethvan gripped the arms of his command chair so hard that his claws left marks in the metal. By the ancient stars, he whispered. What is that ship? No one could answer him. On the Vorn command ship, Fleet Master Zorath stared at his tactical display. He had never seen anything like this. He had never even imagined anything like this. How? He demanded. How did they do that? His subordinates had no answer. They ran scans, analyzed data, checked and rechecked their instruments. Nothing made sense. "Fleet Master, the human vessel is advancing," a sensor officer reported. "It is moving directly toward our formation." Zorath felt something cold settle in his stomach. He did not recognize the feeling at first. Then he realized what it was: fear. For the first time in his long career, he was afraid. "All ships, concentrate fire on the human vessel," he ordered. "Destroy it at any cost." 400 Vorn warships turned their weapons on the Resolute. Plasma batteries, missile launchers, kinetic cannons, everything they had. They fired in waves, pouring destruction toward the small human ship. None of it mattered. The Resolute's countermeasures caught every shot. Some attacks were redirected back at their source. Others were simply absorbed, disappearing into the barrier around the ship as if they had never existed. The human vessel continued its advance without slowing down. On the bridge, Commander Nathan Cole watched the battle unfold with calm eyes. "Lieutenant Brooks, weapons free. Target their command ship first." "Aye, Commander." Targeting Fleet Master Zorath's vessel, Kevin activated the Resolute's primary weapons. These were not plasma guns or missile tubes. They were something the Coalition had no name for, something humanity had developed in secret facilities hidden in the asteroid fields of the Soul. System. A beam of pure white light shot from the Resolute's bow. It crossed the distance to Zorath's command ship in less than a second. The beam did not burn or cut or explode. It simply erased. Wherever it touched, matter ceased to exist. Not destroyed, removed from reality. The front third of Zorath's command ship vanished. The rest of the vessel tumbled through space, venting atmosphere and bodies. "Command ship disabled," Kevin reported. "Fleet Master Zorath is dead." Nathan nodded. "Continue engagement. Prioritize their heavy cruisers." The Resolute became a storm of destruction. It moved through the Vorn formation like a predator through prey, firing in all directions. Ships that tried to flee were hunted down. Ships that tried to fight were erased. Ships that tried to ram were stopped by the invisible barrier and then destroyed. The battle lasted 6 hours. It should have been impossible. One ship against 600. But when it was over, the Resolute still flew, and the Vorn Vanguard no longer existed. Admiral Kethvon watched the human ship return to Coalition space. His hands were still shaking. He had fought in dozens of battles over his long career. He had never seen anything like this. "Damage report from the Resolute," his communications officer said. "They report 23 wounded. No fatalities. Minimal hull damage. 23 wounded. Against 600 warships." "Open a channel," Kethvon ordered. "I need to speak with Commander Cole." Nathan's face appeared on the display. He looked tired, but his eyes were steady. "Admiral, I believe we have some things to discuss." "Yes, Commander. We most certainly do." Kethvon paused, trying to find the right words. "What we just witnessed. Our scientists are telling me it is impossible. Our weapons experts say no technology should be able to do what your ship did." "Your scientists are working from incomplete information," Nathan replied. "There are things humanity knows that we have not shared with the galaxy. Why? Why hide such power? With technology like this, you could have ended the war years ago." Nathan was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Admiral, I think you should come aboard the Resolute. There are things I need to show you. Things that will help you understand." Kethvon hesitated. Part of him did not want to know. Part of him was afraid of what he might learn. But he was a soldier, and soldiers did not run from truth. "I will be there within the hour." When Kethvon materialized in the Resolute's transporter room, he was met by Commander Cole and a security escort. The human ship was smaller than Kethvon had expected. its corridors narrow by Altherian standards. But there was a feeling of power here, a hum in the air that made his skin tingle. Nathan led him through the ship, past crew members who nodded respectfully but said nothing. They stopped at a viewport overlooking the wreckage of the Vorn fleet. "Admiral," Nathan said, "do you know how old humanity is?" Kefvan thought about it. "Your species achieved space travel approximately 50 of your years ago. Before that, your history stretches back several thousand years. That is what we told the Coalition." Nathan turned to face him. "The truth is different. Humanity has existed for 300,000 years. We have built civilizations, watched them rise and fall, built new ones on the ruins. We have fought wars against ourselves, against nature, against things you would not believe." Kefvan felt a chill run through him. "You are saying your species is far older than you claimed?" "Yes, and far more advanced. The technology you saw today is not new. We have had it for a very long time." Nathan's voice was soft, almost sad. "We hid it because we learned, through long and painful experience, that showing your true strength invites attack. The galaxy is full of species that would see such power as a threat. They would unite against us, try to destroy us before we could become a danger to them. So you pretended to be weak. We pretended to be young, harmless, unimportant. We joined your coalition not because we needed protection, but because we needed to understand the threats facing the galaxy. The Vorn are only the latest in a long line of destroyers." Kefvan processed this information slowly. It changed everything he thought he knew about humans, about the coalition, about the galaxy itself. "Why reveal yourselves now?" he asked. Nathan looked out at the stars. "Because the Vorn cannot be allowed to win. They do not want territory or resources. They want extinction. They want to end all life that is not Vorn." He paused. "Humanity has faced such enemies before. We know what must be done. And what is that?" Nathan's eyes were hard when he turned back to face the Admiral. "We have to destroy them, completely. Not just their fleets, but their homeworld, their leadership, their ability to ever threaten the galaxy again." "Can you do that?" "Yes." Nathan's voice held no doubt. "The question is, will the Coalition support us? Or will you try to stop us?" Kefvan thought about the Council, about the fears and prejudices of 42 species. He thought about what they would say when they learned the truth about humanity. Some would want the humans destroyed. Others would want to control their technology. Few would simply accept them as allies. But he also thought about the Vorn spreading across the galaxy like a plague. He thought about the billions who had died, the worlds that had burned. "The Coalition will support you," he said finally. "I will make sure of it." Nathan smiled, and for the first time he looked almost human, just a tired man carrying a heavy burden. "Thank you, Admiral. We have a long fight ahead of us." The news of the Resolute's victory spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On 1,000 worlds, beings of every species watched footage of a single human ship destroying 600 Vorn warships. They watched the plasma fire freeze in space and return to its source. They watched the white beams erase matter from existence. Some celebrated. The Vorn had been pushed back for the first time in years. There was hope again. Others were afraid. If humans could hide such power, what else were they hiding? If they could destroy the Vorn so easily, could they not also destroy the Coalition? On Unity Prime, the Coalition Council met in emergency session. Ambassador Linda Marsh stood at the center of the chamber, facing the delegates of 42 species. Admiral Kefvan stood beside her, lending what support he could. "The Council demands an explanation," said Grathtalk, the Korathi delegate. His stone-like face showed no emotion, but his voice rumbled with barely controlled anger. "You told us you were a young species. You told us you had no military capability. You lied. We did not lie, Linda replied calmly. We simply did not tell you everything. That is the same thing. Is it? Linda looked around the chamber. Every species in this room has secrets. Every government holds back information it considers sensitive. Humanity is no different. This is more than sensitive information, said Yenna, the Yamari representative. You have weapons that break the laws of physics as we understand them. You have shields that can stop any attack. You could conquer the entire galaxy if you wished. Yes, Linda agreed. We could. But we do not wish to. The chamber fell silent. Linda continued speaking. I will tell you the truth now because you deserve to know it. Because the war against the Vorn has changed everything, and there can be no more secrets between allies. She touched a control on her wrist, and a holographic display appeared above the council table. It showed images of Earth, not the green and blue world the Coalition knew, but older images. Ice ages, meteor strikes, ancient civilizations rising and falling. Humanity is 300,000 years old. In that time, we have built countless civilizations. We have spread across our planet, destroyed ourselves, rebuilt, and spread again. We have fought wars that killed millions. We have created beauty and horror in equal measure. The images changed, showing human history across the ages. Stone tools became bronze, weapons became steel, became nuclear bombs, became things the alien delegates could not recognize. 70,000 years ago, we nearly went extinct. A supervolcano erupted and covered our world in ash. Only a few thousand of us survived. We learned a hard lesson. Nature did not care about our ambitions or our dreams. The universe was hostile, and if we wanted to survive, we had to become stronger than anything that threatened us. Linda paused, letting the words sink in. So we did. Over thousands of years, we developed technologies that would seem like magic to other species. We learned to manipulate energy at the quantum level. We learned to bend space and time. We learned to do things that your scientists would say are impossible. Why did you not share this knowledge? Kethvan asked. With such technology, the Coalition could have defeated the Vorn long ago. Because every time we shared our secrets in the past, it ended badly. Linda's voice was heavy with old pain. Thousands of years ago, before we left our home system, there were other intelligences on Earth, other species that evolved alongside us. We shared our knowledge with them. They used it to try to destroy us. The holographic images showed ancient battles, humans fighting against beings that no longer existed. We won, but we learned that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. We decided that some knowledge was too dangerous to share. Some weapons were too terrible to spread. And yet you share them now, Grathtok said. No, we use them now. There's a difference. Linda met his eyes without flinching. The Resolute and its weapons will remain under human control. We will not teach anyone else how to build them. But we will use them to end the Vorn threat, and then we will return to our quiet corner of the galaxy. How can we trust you? Yenna asked. You hid your true nature for years. You could be hiding other things. You could have plans we know nothing about. You cannot trust us, Linda admitted. Not fully. Trust is earned over time, through actions, not words. All I can tell you is what humanity wants. Peace, safety, a galaxy where our children can grow up without fear of extinction. She deactivated the holographic display and looked around the chamber one final time. The Vorn do not want peace. They do not want safety. They want the death of everything that is not Vorn. We have encountered species like them before in our long history. We know there is only one way to deal with them. And what way is that? Kethvan asked, though he already knew the answer. Complete destruction? Not just their fleets, but their ability to ever threaten anyone again. Linda's voice was hard. In 3 days, the Resolute will depart for the Vorn homeworld. We will end this war once and for all. The council erupted into arguments. Some delegates demanded that humanity be stopped. Others demanded that they be supported. A few simply sat in shocked silence, trying to process everything they had learned. In the chaos, Admiral Kethvan approached Linda. "Ambassador, do you truly believe you can destroy the Vorn? Their homeworld is defended by 10,000 ships. Their overmind commands a psychic network that spans their entire civilization." "I know," Linda said. "Commander Cole knows. The crew of the Resolute knows." She smiled slightly. "We've been preparing for this moment for a very long time." "Preparing how?" "The Resolute is not just a warship, Admiral. It is a weapon designed specifically to deal with threats like the Vorn. Threats that cannot be negotiated with, cannot be reasoned with, cannot be stopped by conventional means. And if you fail?" Linda looked at him with eyes that had seen too much history, too much pain. "Then humanity will send more ships. We have others, hidden in places the galaxy does not know about. We will keep fighting until the Vorn are gone, or we are." "Why?" Kethvan asked. "Why you care so much about a galaxy that is not your own? You could hide in your corner of space, let the Vorn destroy the coalition, and rebuild after they move on." Linda was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Because we know what it is like to be alone. To face extinction with no one to help. To watch everything you love burn while the universe watches in silence." She put a hand on the Admiral's arm. "Humanity spent a very long time alone, Admiral. We do not want anyone else to experience that loneliness." Kethvan felt something shift inside him. For the first time since the war began, he felt genuine hope. What can the coalition do to help? "Keep your fleets ready. When the Resolute destroys the Vorn command structure, their forces will be disorganized, confused. That will be the time to strike, to reclaim the territory they have taken." Linda's grip tightened slightly. "And when this is over, we will need friends. The galaxy now knows what humanity is capable of. Some will fear us. Some will hate us. We will need allies who understand why we did what we did." "You will have them," Kethvan promised. "I will make sure of it." Linda nodded. "Thank you, Admiral. Now, if you will excuse me, I need to prepare for the mission ahead." She walked out of the council chamber, leaving the arguing delegates behind. She had a ship to visit, a commander to brief, and a war to end. In 3 days, the Resolute would fly into the heart of enemy territory. In 3 days, humanity would show the galaxy what it truly meant to protect those it loved. The Vorn homeworld was called Zethkar. It hung in space like a black jewel, a planet of darkness and death. Around it orbited rings of defense platforms, each one capable of destroying a fleet. Beyond the platforms, 10,000 warships waited in perfect formation, ready to defend their masters against any threat. At the center of it all was the Overmind, the Gestalt consciousness that controlled the Vorn collective. It was not a single being, but a network of millions of minds linked together, thinking as one. It had guided the Vorn for thousands of years, directing their expansion across the galaxy. It had never known defeat. Until now. The Resolute dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. Commander Nathan Cole stood on the bridge, watching the Vorn defenses appear on the tactical display. 10,000 ships. Countless weapons platforms. The largest concentration of military power in the known galaxy. "Wow," Patricia Hayes said from her station. "They certainly brought everyone to the party." Nathan smiled slightly. "They are scared. They do not know what we can do, but they know it is something terrible." "Incoming transmission," Kevin Brooks reported. "It is coming from everywhere. The Overmind is broadcasting." Nathan nodded. Let us hear it. A voice filled the bridge, not through the speakers, but directly in their minds. It was the Overmind, speaking through its psychic network. Every crew member on the Resolute heard it. Every being in the star system heard it. Human vessel, you have destroyed my vanguard. You have given the lesser races false hope. But here, at the heart of my power, you will learn the truth. The Vorn cannot be defeated. The Vorn are eternal. The Vorn are the end of all things. Nathan activated the ship's communication system, broadcasting on all frequencies. Overmind, I am Commander Nathan Cole of the United Earth Confederacy. I am going to give you one chance to surrender. Psychic laughter echoed through space. It was a sound of madness, of absolute contempt for all other life. Surrender? You are one ship, human. One tiny vessel against the full might of the collective. You will be destroyed, and your species will be next. We will find your hidden worlds. We will burn your children. We will erase every trace that humanity ever existed. Nathan did not react to the threat. His voice remained calm. Withdraw your forces from all occupied systems. Release your prisoners. Dismantle your war machine. Do this, and we will let you live in peace on your homeworld. And if I refuse? Nathan looked at Patricia. She nodded. He looked at Kevin. The young lieutenant's hands were steady on his console. Then I will do something I really do not want to do. The Overmind's laughter grew louder, more terrible. Do it then. Show me what you have. Show me why I should fear a single human ship. The Vorn fleet opened fire. 10,000 ships released their weapons simultaneously. Plasma bolts, missiles, kinetic rounds, energy beams. A storm of destruction that would have overwhelmed any Coalition fleet. Nathan did not give the order to activate countermeasures. Instead, he said one word, Maria. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Maria Santos placed her hands on the reactor controls. She had helped design this system. She knew what it could do. She had always hoped she would never have to use it at full power. Forgive me, she whispered. Then she activated the reactor's true potential. What happened next was difficult to describe. The Resolute's hull began to glow with a light that was not quite light, a radiance that seemed to come from somewhere else, somewhere beyond normal space. The incoming weapons fire hit this radiance and simply vanished. Not deflected, not absorbed, erased from existence. Then the radiance expanded. It swept outward from the Resolute in a sphere of pure white energy. It passed through the Vorn fleet like a wave through water. And wherever it touched, Vorn ships ceased to exist. Not destroyed. Not burned. Ceased to exist. The defense platforms vanished. The warships vanished. 10,000 vessels, gone in the span of a heartbeat. The wave continued toward Zethkar, toward the Overmind itself. The psychic voice that had spoken with such contempt now screamed with terror. What is this? What are you? This is impossible. Nothing can do this. Nothing. Nathan's voice was quiet when he responded. You wanted to know why you should fear us. Now you know. Humanity has existed for 300,000 years. We have survived ice ages and meteors and wars that killed billions. We have faced extinction a dozen times and refused to die. And we learned long ago that some threats cannot be negotiated with. Some enemies cannot be allowed to survive. The wave of energy reached Zethkar. It washed over the planet's surface, and the Overmind voice cut off mid-scream. The psychic network that had linked millions of Vorn minds together simply stopped. The Gestalt consciousness that had guided the collective for millennia ended in an instant. When the light faded, the Resolute floated alone in empty space. Where 10,000 ships had been, there was nothing. Where the Vorn homeworld had been, there was nothing. The greatest military power in the galaxy had been erased in less than a minute. On the bridge, the crew sat in silence. They had won. They had ended the war. But there was no celebration, no cheering. What they had done was necessary, but it was not something to celebrate. Nathan finally spoke. Patricia, send a message to Coalition Command. Tell them it is done. The Vorn Collective no longer exists. Yes, sir. Her voice was steady, but her hands shook slightly as she worked her console. Kevin, set a course for home. Slow cruise. The crew needs time to process what happened today. Aye, sir. Nathan stood and walked to the viewport. He looked out at the empty space where a civilization had existed moments before. He thought about all the lives that had been lost in the war. Coalition soldiers, Vorn victims, the Vorn themselves. So much death. So much waste. Maria Santos appeared beside him. Her face was pale, her eyes haunted. Did we do the right thing? She asked quietly. Nathan was silent for a long moment. Then he said, I do not know. The Vorn would have killed everyone. Every species, every world, every child. We stopped that. But what we did, he shook his head. We erased an entire civilization. Millions of beings, gone in a heartbeat. That is not something I can call right. Then what do we call it? Necessary. Nathan turned to face her. Sometimes there are no good choices. Maria, sometimes you can only choose between terrible options and hope you pick the least terrible one. The Resolute began its journey home, leaving the empty space behind. Across the galaxy, Coalition forces received the news of the Vorn's defeat. On 1,000 worlds, beings celebrated the end of a war that had threatened to destroy everything they loved. But in the corridors of power, in the council chambers and command centers, leaders looked at each other with new understanding. Humanity had ended the Vorn threat. Humanity had saved the galaxy. And in doing so, humanity had revealed what it was truly capable of. Some were grateful. Others were terrified. 6 months later, Ambassador Linda Marsh stood before the Coalition Council once again. The war was over. The Vorn-occupied territories were being reclaimed. Life was returning to normal. The Council had offered humanity a permanent seat at the table, a voice in galactic governance. Linda had come to deliver Earth's answer. The United Earth Confederacy is grateful for the offer, she said. But we must decline. Murmurs of surprise rippled through the chamber. Admiral Kethvon, who had become a strong advocate for humanity, leaned forward. Ambassador Y, you have earned this place. You saved us all. Linda smiled gently. Because humanity does not want to rule, Admiral. We do not want power or influence. We want what we have always wanted. Peace. Safety. A chance to live our lives without fear. But you have such capability. Yes, and that is exactly why we must not hold power over others. Linda looked around the chamber. We know what we are capable of. We know the terrible things we can do. That is why we choose to remain in the background, watching, helping where we can, but never controlling. She straightened her shoulders. Humanity will be your ally. We will come when you call. We will protect those who cannot protect themselves. But we will not rule. We have tried that before, long ago, and it did not end well. The Council accepted her decision, though many did not understand it. In the years that followed, humanity kept its word. They remained on the edges of galactic society, offering help when asked, interfering rarely. Ships like the Resolute were quietly decommissioned and hidden away, ready if they were ever needed again. Commander Nathan Cole retired to a small farm on Earth in a place called Montana. He spent his days tending crops, watching the sky, and trying to forget the things he had done. Sometimes he succeeded. Sometimes he did not. One evening, he sat on his porch watching the sunset. Patricia Hayes had sent him a message earlier. Another crisis averted, another war prevented before it could begin. Humanity was still out there, still watching, still protecting the galaxy from threats it did not even know about. His wife, Catherine, came out and sat beside him. She did not ask about the message. She had learned, over the years, not to ask. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked instead. "Leaving the service?" Nathan thought about it. He thought about the Resolute, about the white light that had erased a civilization, about the screaming voice of the Overmind as it died. "No," he said finally. "I did what I had to do. Now it is someone else's turn." He put his arm around his wife and watched the stars appear in the